Mr. Sergeant, please move over. Can you qualify both witnesses, please?
Take the witness stands here.
I Mr. Julius Arrhenius Cephas, Solicitor General, Chief Prosecutor.
One of our citizens in Republic of Law.
One of our citizens in the Republic of Liberia.
Solemnly swear.
Solemnly swear.
What I'm going to say
About to say.
is the truth.
Truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And so,
Vice President of the Senate, voting for part of the Senate.
Please have a seat. The Honorable Minister of Justice and the Honorable Solicitor General of the Republic of Liberia, the Liberian Senate had instructed the Secretary to send you a letter reference a communication signed by the Solicitor General dated February 14. Madam Secretary, would you read it out the Senate sent so we understand the terms of our obligation?
February 24, 2021, Honorable F. Musadin, Minister of Justice, Monrovia, Liberian. Dear Mr. Minister, I present my compliments and my narrative of the Liberian Senate in session, cited to appear before the plenary of the Liberian Senate on Thursday, February 25, 2021 at 11 a.m. in the new Annex Senate chamber. The purpose of the appearance is to give full detailed information relating to our communication dated February 14, 2021 to Honorable David Brown Asana, Chairman, National Elections Commission, NEC, and coming to you requesting the NEC not to certificate Mr. Brown de Samaka, Senator-elect of Lofa County. Please be informed further that the Solicitor General of Liberia has also been invited on the same matter and will be in attendance. It is important to note that the failure to appear will constitute a gross affront to this honorable body, which is punishable by a reasonable sanction taken by the Senate. Please accept review assurances of my highest consideration and esteem. My regards, sincerely yours, J. Number F. Sina, Secretary of the Senate, Republic of Liberia.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Distinguished Senators, according to your instructions that have been carried out by the Secretary of the Liberian Senate, what is your will and pleasure? How do we proceed with the honorable representatives who have come before? Senator Piping.
this is a school.
Madam Vice President, President of the Senate, colleagues, having listened to the reason for which the Minister of Justice and his principal deputy are invited to the Senate, I move, if I can be seconded, that this Senate had an opportunity to interact with the two witnesses.
Any second to the motion? It's been moved and seconded. Are you ready to vote?
Ready.
All in favor? You can move by saying aye. Against? Abstention? Motion carried. May I now have the hands of those who would like to speak on this matter or ask questions so I can take a note of who wants to speak?
But this one.
I just want to know who wants to speak so I can ready proceed. The tear game? We'll first ask the Solicitor General to answer to the inquiry of the Senate, and then get interventions from senators who have raised their hands. So, Mr. Solicitor General, can you answer to the inquiry of the Liberian Senate as to why or by what authority did you write the National Election Commission instructing them to proceed? To not proceed the certificate, Senator-elect of Luka County, Senator Browning.
You have set up?
Can we have a microphone?
Yeah, microphone is there.
Can you stand, please?
Oh, okay.
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer and Constitutional Vice President of this Republic. I did not see a full copy of the letter.
Order. Secretary, got a copy? Does any senator have a copy of this communication?
Madam Presiding and distinguished colleagues, our legislative practice, when a witness appears in session, when you address the presiding, you address the members. So that's the order.
The Honorable Solicitor General, will you begin again? And we got a copy?
Yeah.
Can the sergeant please give the Solicitor General a copy of the letter? And can you start again, please, sir?
Thank you, Madam Presiding Officer. I received a text message yesterday at about 1600 hours. I was then out of town. And I was told by the Secretary of the Senate that there were complications vis-a-vis.
Madam President, order again.
Order, Senator from Grand Chile County.
Madam Presiding, distinguished, I just told the witness that the legislative practice, when you appear as a witness before the full body, when you address the presiding, you address the members of the legislature or the House of Representatives or the Senate. That's the order.
Madam Presiding Officer, I'm following the procedure.
Thank you.
You know, I'm not a parliamentarian, so I'm learning. Thank you for the order. Madam Presiding Officer, distinguished fellow countrymen and women,
Distinguished members of the Liberian Senate.
distinguished members of the Liberian Senate, distinguished members of the Liberian Senate, on yesterday, at about 1600 hours, I received a text message from the Honorable Secretary of the Senate to the effect that I needed to appear today for a communication that was written to the National Election Commission by me. I indicated to him, can you put it into writing? He said, oh, we have a complication vis-a-vis the problem with the lighting system in the area, and so it will be difficult for us to put it into writing, but I decided to inform you so that you'll be in readiness to come. So I said, well, by the same token, I was out of town, so I then wrote him back, sending a nice text message, and said, I relished the idea to appear before the August body to give explanation, and so I have to travel throughout the night. I arrived this morning at about 11:10. I have to go rush home to dress to come. But thank you. If the question is whether or not I've written the Election Commission, yes, I did that. I'm the Solicitor General and Chief Prosecutor of the Republic, and I'm the face of the government vis-a-vis as it relates to matters in the court, and giving the authority when any action are taken consistent with law. My boss is informed when the action is taken, and after a careful review, and if he sees that the action is done consistent with law, no further action is taken, that action is clearly and distinctly defended. So yes, I wrote the National Election Commission. Normally, on our practice as a lawyer, when a matter of a nature is brought before a body, or maybe it could be a tribunal or institution like this other body, it is always good for us, and that's why I asked for the letter.
Order, Madam President. Senator Kaipe, order.
Madam Vice President, co-leader of the Senate, the plenary sitting last Tuesday gave an instruction to its secretary. So we need to be clear whether the secretary carried out the information as was instructed. The plenary took a decision authorizing its secretary to communicate with the witness on the stand. It appeared to me that the communication was not sent as it should. And so we did not find out whether indeed it was a text message or was a communication sent.
Senator Kaipe, the witness has admitted that he did receive the information for which he has appeared here today. Order denied. Honorable Solicitor General, are you through?
No, I'm not through yet. Because there was an order on the floor, so I decided to remain silent. So as I indicated, I got the communication. But as a lawyer, and the quality of lawyering that I do, it is always good to see the citation that is being sent. Because when the letter was being read, I heard certain things, so I will ask your indulgence, Madam Presiding Officer and the Honorable Liberian Senate to see the communication. I now realize that there have been a subsequent write-out that was sent to us. Me see the communication, then I'll be able to, because the reasons why I don't do it is that in the law, when a matter is brought against you or you have been summoned, you have to, there are three things you have to look at. One, you look at the person bringing the complaint. Two, the standing of the person, the capacity to bring the complaint. Three, and the basis upon which you have to respond. I'm under obligation to respond to every question before this, but I will beg your indulgence to see the communication that was sent to us.
1 minute. Which communication? The Secretariat communication to you?
Yeah.
Madam Secretary, would you please read, give him a copy of the letter? Just 1 minute. Because the letter has been read. Maybe he wants to.
Yeah, maybe you can bring both. I've been just looking at it.
You have one copy before.
No, this is my own letter.
Yes, so the Secretariat's letter to you is what we're.
Yeah.
The Sergeant.
And Madam Presiding and the Honorable Liberian Senate, please permit me a few seconds for me to peruse the letter.
Can we give him chance? The laws require that a witness before the Liberian Senate be given due process.
Yes.
If he has not seen the actual letter, but he responded because he received a text message from the Secretariat, I think a few minutes to read this letter is not beyond the normal requirements. Can we just give him a few minutes, please? You have time to ask your question.
Okay, Madam Presiding Officer and the Honorable Liberian Senate, have read the communication that was sent to me. There's a reason why I asked to read the communication. In the communication, it is stated, and I quote, "The purpose of your appearance is to give full, detailed information relating to your communication dated February 14, 2021 to Honorable David Edgar Brown Lasana, Chairman, National Election Commission, and copy to send to the Minister of Justice requesting the NEC not to certificate Mr. Brownie J. Samuka, Senator-elect of Lofa County." So why it presupposes to me, and that's where I'm going to speak from, is that there has been or there is Mr. Brownie Samuka, who is Senator-elect of the Honorable Liberian Senate. That's what the letter is saying. So my letter to the National Election Commission is that it would suggest that I have stopped a Senator-elect from being certificated. Madam Presiding Officer, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, and Honorable Liberian Senate, there are fundamental procedures within the context of the election law. They are in 3 stages, and I'm going to cite them. When somebody decides that I want to run for public office, he or she can either be an independent candidate or a candidate of a political party. When that person is duly certified to run for public office, when the election is hard and results are declared, the person becomes a winner of a contested result. There's no senator-elect. Following that phase, after the declaration, if there are no challenges to the process, the person is then certificated. When the person is certificated, he becomes senator-elect in the National Election Commission. Following that stage,
Senator Dillon.
Madam President, my order is the Solicitor General. They have ministers to manage woman. My order is the Solicitor General was summoned before this body. Did he write the Election Commission the source of his authority? They're not a national author. And he should not go there.
Order sustained. Mr. Solicitor General, you've been requested to answer 2 questions. The first one, I believe you've already answered, that you actually did write this letter to the Election Commission. Can you now give us the source of your authority? What authorizes the Solicitor General to write the Election Commission, instructing them how to proceed on cases before them as it relates to electoral matters?
Madam Presiding Officer and distinguished legislator, the point I'm trying to make is a point of law. And that is, I did not stop. Yes, okay, let me go to the source, madam. Let me go to the source. Let me go to the source. I acted pursuant 1 to Title 26, Section 50.12, subparagraph B of Article 50, Title 26.
Can you take it easy? Title 21. So it's Title 21.
No, not Title 26.
Which law book is that?
Your Honor, actually, when I'm still speaking,
We just want to write.
yeah, but I've been distracted. I mean, I did not say Title 21. I said Title 26. Yeah.
Title 26.
Yeah. Liberian Code of Law revised. Penal Code 50.12. Subparagraph B.
A witness understand will have to conduct and comport himself before the Liberian Senate.
Of course.
If he is making reference to a reliance in law,
This is not a
let him
political.
go in
This is a political house.
what should be done. Chapter 26, volume what? Page what? And when you do so, you will do so with respect to the body and not with emotional outbursts. We're not entertaining.
You have your hostile with
We're not going to talk here,
Madam Presiding.
Wait, that's move forward.
Sustain.
Madam Presiding. I am learning the law, and I'm not going to mislead this body. I'm very learned in the law, and I'm going to state exactly what the law says.
Please do.
All right.
We said Title 26.
Yeah.
Liberian Code
Of Law revised. Yeah.
Volume 50.
No, not volume. Chapter 50.12.
Chapter 50.12.
Yes.
Subsection E.
Yes. Title. This one is disqualification from and forfeiture of public office. And I'll read.
Yes, sir.
It said a person convicted of any of the crimes listed below, or of any attempt or conspiracy to commit such crime, or of the facilitation or solicitation of such crime shall forfeit in any public office he then holds, and may be disqualified from any or a specified public office or category thereof for such period as the court may determine, but no longer than 5 years following completion of sentence imposed for such crimes. B, and I read B, Your Honor. Any felony committed in connection with his employment as a public servant. That one. My next reliance is chapter 3.
Order.
Chapter 3.
Senator Nukwe from Grand Mandibi County. I won't tell you the Grand House Authority.
Yeah, Vice President, yes, the reading of the citation, the SG is out of order on the accounts that the provision read that he doesn't have the authority provided, is not attributed to him but to the court. He is not a court to make such a decision. So he is out of order.
Your Honor, we proceed. We proceed.
May I make an intervention that we allow the witness to land, and then we'll take all of the different instances so that we are in contact. People should please write it down and find out whatever the source of the authority is. Can you?
I proceed.
When you talk about you can say that.
I proceed, Madam Presiding. Chapter 3, Section 3.23 of the new election law. And I'll read, Your Honor. Means of disenfranchised to be furnished by the Minister of Justice. The Minister of Justice shall send to the Commission annually in the month of December a list containing the names and the addresses of all persons judicially convicted and sentenced for a disenfranchisable offense and whose disenfranchisement continue. He shall also furnish along with the list registration cards of all such persons. Pursuant to this, in December last year, Mr. Brandon Samdani was forwarded to the National Election Commission by the Ministry of Justice through the Office of the Solicitor General. And
are you almost finished?
no, I'm not finished. I'm not
All
finished.
right, then let me take the order.
Regarding the provision just read by the Solicitor General, by himself, as a reliance, it says the Minister of Justice. It is the ministry. So it's not talking about any authority. It is specific. The Minister of Justice.
There are compartments in the ministry.
Now, so thankfully, the Minister of Justice is here. So we're asking whether he gets the authority. They will proceed from there. All the other law school letters, leave it right there.
I'm not completed. All right.
The Honorable Minister of Justice, you are being asked by the Liberian Senate if indeed an instruction was given by you to the Solicitor General to write this particular letter to the National Election Commission.
Madam Vice President, presiding officer of the Senate, honorable members of the Liberian Senate, I don't want to belabor the point. The provision of the law, section 3.23 of the new elections law, has been read, and it empowers the Minister of Justice to inform the Commission of the names and addresses of all persons judicially convicted and sentenced for a disenfranchisement offense. I was out of the vicinity of the city. This matter I have reviewed grows out of a prosecution that was being handled by the Solicitor General. And he tells me that due to the exigency of the matter, he informed the Elections Commission that Mr. Brani Samukai had been convicted. I may be wrong and stand corrected, but I guess part of the issue we are having is that this letter seems to be regarded as instructions to the Elections Commission. No, largely it was information to the Elections Commission as required by law. And he having now explained to me, I having reviewed the matter, I have approved his action. Thank you.
The Minister of Justice is informing the Liberian Senate that though he was out of the bailiwick of the Republic, he has been duly informed that this letter was written, and it is now with his approval. So with that information being given, is there, Senator?
The minister indicated that the letter was written to the National Election Commission as a way of providing information. Would we please request the Secretary of Senate to read the content of the letter written by the SG to establish as to whether the minister is saying truth on oath or he's saying something otherwise, on oath.
Madam Secretary, that's a copy of the letter.
The minister of honor code that you were born aware.
Yeah, that is what you're doing. So you were not the best candidate. So I don't know this away now.
14 February 2021. Honorable David Brown Lasana, Chairman, National Elections Commission, Monrovia, Liberia. Dear Honorable Brown Lasana, we present our compliments and wish to inform you officially as per the attached judgment of the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia. Mr. Brownie J. Samaka, the disputed elected senator for Lofa County, together with Joseph A. Johnson and Wilma Toko, has been convicted for the crimes of theft of property and misuse of public funds in an amount of US $1,147,656 and 135 cents. Furthermore, you recall that prior to the December 2020 elections, Mr. Samaka was found guilty by the lower court, along with his co-conspirators, for the same crimes, but took an appeal to the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia, which automatically stayed the enforcement of the conviction judgment. Therefore, the recent judgment by the Honorable Supreme Court of Liberia is not of novelty and did not depart from the wording of the lower court judgment. Instead, it confirmed and affirmed the lower court's judgment, which means Mr. Samaka, together with his co-conspirators, has been a convicted fellow from the date the lower court rendered its judgment in 2020. Accordingly, since the guilty judgment is a law controlling and constitutes of finality of the matter, and by law it is appealable in this jurisdiction, it is my considered opinion that it will inaccurately allay any and all concerns that may arise, and you therefore proceed not to certificate. Thanks, faithfully, Councilor Sema Serena Sifas, Solicitor General and Chief Prosecutor, C.C. Kabe, Minister of Justice, and Attorney General.
Senator Lukwe.
So, Madam President and Honorable Vice President of Liberia Distinguished Colleagues, from the content of the letter, it's been established that that communication served two purposes. One, to inform the Election Commission of the Supreme Court's ruling, and to also request the National Election Commission not to certificate Mr. Brown Samaka. So there were two purposes, as the quite rare, that were clearly articulated in the letter. So the Honorable Minister of Justice did not do us justice to indicate that the letter was merely for information. That's not true as the content of the letter revealed. I just want to establish that before proceeding further.
Thank you. We can now begin with, can I take the names of those who want to speak? Senator TJ, Senator Dillon, Senator Tonala, Senator Wisa, Senator Sokwe, and I guess we'll proceed from there. Senator TJ? One more, sir.
Sergeant, what my casual from the witness.
Everything's always
Presiding, I yield my time to Senator Nukwe of Makini.
Senator Luca, are you ready to speak?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you think?
Madam Presiding, Vice President of the Republic, distinguished colleagues, we all are aware that this is a country of law, and as such, no one is a judge guilty until that person appears before a competent court of jurisdiction and goes to trial. The provision of the law read by the Solicitor General clearly attributes the authority of denying somebody from public office to the court. And as the chief prosecuting arm of the government of the Republic of Liberia, AMA feels strongly that this is a provision of the law that applies to Honorable Samakai. They should seek redress through the court. He didn't do that. But instead, he, as Solicitor General, decided to write to the Election Commission not to certificate Mr. Brownie Samakai. We believe this is against the spirit and intent of the law. There is no provision in that provision that gives the Ministry of Justice, the Minister, or the Solicitor General to enforce a law or to enforce a provision of the law that go for going to court. Because the law itself says through the court, the person must go to court. The judgment has to be decided by the court, not by the SG. And that's why I call for order, because they really clearly spells out that it might be through the court. And before going to court, he is, by the stroke of the pen, he is requesting that somebody should not be certificated. This is anti-democratic and should not be condoned. So that letter should be revoked. And it amounts to interference. It amounts to interference and should never be continuous. If this is continuous, then I'm sorry to say, once the democratic process cannot be respected, the next thing, people will take the laws in their own hands. We don't want to go back to the dark days. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Nukwe. Senator Dillon.
Thank you, Madam President, distinguished colleagues. Allow me to roll over the closing sentence of the communication in question for the basis of my brief comment. Accordingly, since the guilty judgment is the law controlling and constitutes a finality of the matter, and by law is not appealable in this jurisdiction, it is my considered opinion that it will inaccurately allay any and all concerns that may arise, and you will therefore proceed not to certificate him. Samoka. Even the Constitution, Article 21J, all persons who, upon conviction of a criminal offense was deprived of the enjoyment of his civil liberties and rights shall have the same automatically restored upon serving the sentence and satisfying any other penalty imposed or upon an executive pardon. The key thing in Article 21J. One day, Solicitor General, now backed by the minister, to get us clear with. Any person who, upon conviction of the criminal offense, was deprived of enjoyment of civil liberty and rights. The ruling from the Supreme Court in the Brani Samokad criminal matter that arose from the lower court, the ruling did not deprive Mr. Samokad of his political liberties and rights. So it was not specifically deprived of Mr. Samokad. How can the Ministry of Justice instruct the electoral body? The electoral body, which is the only body that is supposed to conduct elections and determine winner, and if there's dispute, even after the dispute have been had and parties still having issues, go to the court so that the court can either annul the result or uphold the result of the Elections Commission. The law relied upon by the Solicitor General, read by himself here, instruct that the Minister of Justice will inform the Elections Commission on a list of convicts whose civil liberties or certain rights have been restrained as a result of their conviction. I work at Justice Ministry in the office of the Solicitor General. When something is supposed to be expressly done by the minister and he gave directive, the communication was carried out by directive of the minister. To show proof on an oath that this communication was not done under the directive of the minister. Not only that, the minister was on an oath and he had given instruction for this communication. It was the easiest thing for the Attorney General of Liberia to say on an oath. I issued the instruction. But last week, before this body, on an oath, the minister, in fact, they letter load alien to him to the extent that he said he only saw it on Facebook. It was premise upon which we said, in fact, he said, the best person who can defend the letter is the author of the letter. It was based upon which we asked him, being the boss of the Solicitor General, to accompany him here today. So we don't want the Solicitor General alone here to say, imagine his Councilor at Law, the Solicitor General alone was here and said, I did a communication under the instruction of my boss. We will probably say he's lying because his boss is not here, because his boss had given us the impression that this communication was strange to him. That he will come today to say, having considered all of this, I finally approve later. It's troubling. Now, what this communication has done does not impede or obstruct the function of the legislature, but it sets a dangerous precedent for our democratic governance, where we set and allow the executive to arm twist the democratic process against especially critical voices. They could prepare trump up charges against you, get you convicted in a court, and then once the Solicitor General, it wouldn't be Cephas no longer. Once the Solicitor General will pick up, consider Cephas' letter one day in the future as reference for precedent to deprive people from the electoral process. This is deadly. It is wrong. I don't back Samoka's action as determined by the court, but the same court saying he can go be senator. Where this Solicitor General, now backed by his bossman, derive their source of authority. This is troubling. They must be made to understand that they got no such authority, so they will never even imagine doing it again. For the record.
Thank you, Senator Taylor. We now have Senator Tonala.
Madam President, information. Madam President and police, with President, I think when 2 or 3 of our police speak, it will be good also to hear from our witnesses.
Your information is inaccurate. We have asked both witnesses to make their statements. It is based on the statements that the senators have now intervened. So can we hear from Senator Tonala, please?
Thank you, Madam President. Fellow police. As I sat quietly, looking at the mood and the wave of the expressions on our faces and those things that are bubbling in our hearts, and judging from our top levels, to have the Justice Minister and the Solicitor General in this chamber to share with us the pitfalls of integrity. It baffles me. Then at the same time, in this chamber, the Minister of Justice, who's supposed to triumph on integrity, can be in our midst in this Senate to share deception and baffled. I'm really, really baffled. Because one of the cardinal hallmark of leadership is integrity, protecting it. I say this to mean that a few days ago, the Minister of Justice was here, and he was asked, as per this letter, and I don't need to re-quote what he said, but just to wrap over it, said that get in contact with the author. I was out of town, and in fact, I only read it on social media. And for the same minister to come here today, that I was informed because the urgency of the issue, so I consented. So within 2 days, the minister comes down and says, yes, I consented. That's deception. That's not integrity. You baffle over, you say something in the public square where people around the world are hearing you. Then you come back and say, yes, you know, I consent. Then another round, that I was looking at, especially so on the issue of leadership, to see that, because when a communication is written, whatever is written can be defined in 2 perspectives. Either it is you define it from the connotative perspective, or you define it from the denotative perspective. I am defining it from the connotative perspective. What is your thinking? What are you saying? What is the thought level? What's the perception and perspective on what has been discussed or what is being discussed about? The minister said that this letter was for information purpose, and only for the letter to be read that it gave a consent of instruction. That's deception. All of us are educated. All of us may not be lawyers, but all of us do read the language, the diction, the analysis of the diction. And on the basis of this, to see me standing to express this. Leadership one, the minister and his deputy have violated all the norms of qualitative leadership. Then not besides that, but to stay in the public lane and say something that is opposite to the reality. Then tell me, suppose we were not level-headed to understand the language. It means that we're going to be deceived in this place to believe that what they are saying is true. Fellow colleagues, I plead to this body. Because leadership says that everything rises and falls on the leader. We must hold the justice minister accountable. Yes. We must hold him in contempt. And we must decide for an action against this minister. Yes. And so that he cannot serve as a president no more in this hall. When anybody will come and say, right over us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we have been charged with.
Madam Presiding, extension.
Extension granted. I just want us to calm down as we deal with this issue and allow I think I have 3 more persons to speak. Senator Wisa, Senator Sobey, and Senator Moy. Oh, I know I keep forgetting about you. You went on to place over at Senator Moten. And then we asked for Senator Sobey. Okay, Senator Wisa.
Madam Presiding and colleagues, I am absolutely sad, really sad. I mean, I've always had very implicit confidence in the Justice Minister. And we all understand why our ministry is not called ministry to put people in jail, to find people guilty. We call it Ministry of Justice. And the intention is to ensure justice. Justice based on truth that will ensure peace and stability in our country. I've listened to our colleagues who've spoken before me, and I think they were very, very eloquent on this issue and linking what we are saying to the Constitution and to the laws of our country. It is very obvious that this entire saga around running Samukai that is making us to lose even common reasoning is purposeful. that this man led an arrangement in our country that fought to ensure peace in our country. This man was put in charge of retraining and reforming our national army, working along with our brothers and sisters who died here for us to have peace. That the reformation of our army was a key part of the peace agreement. That this man we should be celebrating for making our army into the army for good instead of tribal army or regime security structures. That this man, we so determined that we must deny him existence and even acknowledgement, to the point that someone will take upon himself to instruct the election commission, to do its work. My understanding is that no part of this constitution has given that power to the Ministry of Justice. Nobody. And I think it was so eloquently put by Senator Nukwe, that the entire team from Magibi, the third grade senator is not here, you know. I mean, if we just listening carefully to what was said, we got to be ashamed of ourselves that the only thing we want is to deny this man so we can violate any form of rule. And you know, as somebody from River G, I feel ashamed sometimes when I hear something attributed to somebody from my county. Madam President presiding, I'm one of those who understand in the Reformation just our administrative structures and the laws, that people working with ministers, and I insist, when they call you deputy minister, you are deputy minister. The person who has the authority is the minister. I've been a deputy minister and I've been a minister. And I make sure when I was deputy, I worked as a deputy. When I was a minister, I made sure that those who work with me act like deputies. The authority under our laws in the Ministry of Justice lie in the hands of the Minister of Justice. I heard the minister here before sounded very frustrated because of the behavior of his Solicitor General and other people under him. He was frustrated. This Senate, on an occasion, have offered that the Solicitor General be put under investigation. That investigation is still on the way. And the objective was to show that this Solicitor General was going out of bounds. And coming from the same county, I hear, we're pleading, let's do it only small. Now today, I count on this Ministry of Justice for the history, the background that he's come. That the only thing that will guide us will be about justice. The Supreme Court has ruled that if this man was such a terrible figure, they will not say, okay, you took money, we should went and send our army to Mali to do work for us, to represent Nigeria, that you took money of Nigerian soldiers who work for us here, who died, that you send money to the man, to the family, but the money you took it from your own pocket, so you must pay back. If there were no heart other than to punish somebody good, that type of thing would never have happened. But it happened. And then the same one, then on their thought, they say no.
We shouldn't kill this man because we will not survive it. So let the man go. Let him go to work. Let him go to work. And when he get to work, when he take pay, he will start paying the money that he used on our behalf, the Republic of Liberia behalf. But he must pay us, and which the government began to pay, he will pay back to the government. That's what they say. If the man was so wicked, if he had done so bad to our country, would they allow him to go home and say, go to work, look for money so you can pay us the good you did for us? Can't do it, and pay for it. And now we come here. We ain't satisfied. The election commission say, the same court say, just yesterday, say you are free. Go. You feel winning the election. Go. So when the Supreme Court said, you have won the election, what were they saying to him? That when you go to the election commission, we are fooling you all. When you get to the election commission, they will not give you a certificate. And then somebody, all for himself, the question that was asked is, what legal authority? The legal authority is whether part of the Constitution says that you, as Solicitor General, can instruct the Election Commission. If we start doing it, any assistant minister, any kind of through there, because they work in the Ministry of Justice, come and instruct the Election Commission, don't get that man sick. This man should not happen. This should not happen. Do you know that we are going back to where we went and 250,000 people were killed in this country? Have we forgotten? Have we forgotten that in the last 75 years, all of the conflicts in Liberia that was bloody was linked to electoral issues? Now, Ministry of Justice will be the one to ignite trouble in our country. We, the people's representatives, will definitely do everything to reject it. We are not ready to run again. Thank you.
That's good. Thank you.
Okay, I don't think everybody given a chance to speak, and the power of the gavel. I will hear from Senator Moore and then Senator Snow and then Senator Lawrence.
You want Senator?
You have spoken for Senator Snow.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Presiding, distinguished colleagues. Thank you very much. I think, Madam President of the Senate, distinguished colleagues, my colleagues before me have spoken loudly. And I'm so frustrated saying, just a few days ago, when we had the Minister of Justice and the police in here, Tuesday to testify on the missing citizens of our country, they said repeatedly that the relatives, the families of the missing Liberians are now willing to even hear about the issue of theft. And they are doing everything humanly possible to undermine the investigation. How can that not be? When the Minister of Justice that's supposed to be speaking justice for all of us within 2 days, just within 2 days, in the glare of the public, change on something that he took off to say the truth, but not but the truth. We're headed for trouble. Serious trouble. And I don't think this chamber of the Liberian legislature should remain in session to see the country going back. Regime has come and gone. People don't want to learn. They don't want to read history. You will not be just a minister forever. You will not be Solicitor General forever.
It's just a matter of time. Why are you doing so much to be hurting everybody wrongly because you want to please the regime? I think we are headed for trouble. And I don't think we're supposed to allow this here. There are better ways to please the president, the regime, the government by doing the right thing. And everybody will be passing, clapping. Yes, the government is doing the right thing. This government is bringing the principles of democracy to the table. A succeeding government will take on from you and you will be referenced. But not to destroy everything because you want to support. I think we're heading for trouble. And the minister that all of us have admired, and he has been bullied because he's not dancing, to begin to do what people have stood for him for. And that because of the citizens standing up for him, he's still in this regime. Otherwise, he would have been gone. Because he wanted the backbones. That preaching peace, that holding the rule of law, perceived by the citizens. That's why when the Solicitor General does something, and he's on the contrary, we read in the news, we hear the cause. He has to go. He's a spy. As a minister, don't allow what the citizens fighting for you to be taken away because of pressure. I don't think you deserve this. If you were not here, say I was not here. And he did it. But look at everything. All of the comments that will be attributed to you. Because you are the minister. So, Madam President, distinguished colleagues, the lawyers have said everything about the law. But my question before I take my seat, that provision in the statute, is it before or after? Is it before or after? If an elected officials are convicted before certification, or if they are seated and working and they are convicted for some crimes, can you write a letter to the Election Commission to revoke? Because we have precedents, we have cases that people went to jail, they came by and still sit in this chamber of the Senate. So please answer that question. And we didn't see anybody writing to say, yeah, the provision in the election law, or at that time maybe that provision was not there. I didn't hear clarity on that. Thank you very much.
So, Mr. Minister, just make a note, please. We're excluding two more persons and then we hear from the Minister of Justice, I beg you. So, Senator Snow.
Mr. President, someone come here and Babu will want to make a
Thank you, Madam President. Madam President. Madam President, distinguished colleagues. Madam President, there are a few lawyers in this country that have a lot of respect. Unfortunately, we have a justice minister that, in my mind, have that respect, one of those lawyers. While we sat out there on Tuesday at the outer door waiting for entry, I watched on the social media, and just at one point when the Justice Minister got ready to speak, he said, direct quote, I have a lot of respect for this house. And then he said, yes, I mean it. And coming here today on oath, to grossly disrespect the house that you have a lot of respect for the 8 hours ago, it baffles me. So, Minister, for you to come on Tuesday and say you saw it in social media, you don't know about it. And then the Senate in its wisdom say, well, the Solicitor General should not come alone, let him come with a minister. And then the same minister comes 48 hours later and says, it's by to my acquiescence. How are we proceeding? Is the issue of Samuka intended to prevent him from coming here? Then let's file application and go and say, we just want you to come here. If it's an issue of law, then let's respect the law. You said the law says you will inform the election commission, right? Inform the election commission. But in addition to inform the election commission, you instructed the election commission as well. And you are wrong for doing that. If you feel that Mr. Samuka has been convicted or has been sentenced, which I don't know if he was sentenced or suspended, so that one you can help us with it. But if you want to stop him, file an application to the court. File an application to the court and say, based on the ruling of the Supreme Court, Mr. Samuka is being paused or whatever to be inducted in the Senate. So based on your ruling, we want to stop him. Then the court aye. But if you now start writing the election commission, in 2023, you may still be Solicitor General. And my colleague said, who went for election and will be tough on the floor. You get right election commission and say, hold a certificate. Yes. So we are concerned. I want to close, Madam President, by appealing to the Minister of Justice and the Solicitor General. Mr. Solicitor General, you are proactive, smart, I think, but I want to appeal to you to do your best to depoliticize the function of the office of the Solicitor General. Correct. That office is too political. We had a thing here in America. Today you see that they are fighting to undo certain things. The office of the Solicitor General is too political. And I agree the Minister of Justice is an instrument of the executive, so sometimes you have to fall in line. But Mr. Minister, it's the only minister that can just agree with the president. Under our laws. The opinion are respected. So thank you, but do everything you can do to depoliticize the Ministry of Justice. And as far as I'm concerned, Mr. Samuka was not sentenced. If he was sentenced, then he was suspended. Because they say, we gave you this time to pay, you paid, and you will go to jail. So you were convicted here, but the sentence was suspended. Or you go to another lawyer, just go to the court and tell the court, say, based on this, the men's will take. Then the court will decide. But you cannot be the judge, the referee, the player, everything. I submit. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Senator Nathan. 1 second.
Thank you, President.
1 second, Madam President. Distinguished colleagues, I'm from a native background. And when these kinds of things are happening in my community, I get scared. I get scared. I would just like to give a little bit back history of the minister. Maybe he did not know me then. He was serving as a legal person for the Sami Davi Corporation. In my county, when the concession was signed, those who wanted to get me out in 2011 said that I sold the Baburu land to Sandabi. And that the people of Baburu, the elders of Baburu, the women of Baburu will never practice poorer and sandy societies. Because Sandabi is going to take all of the land and destroy their growth. So that one of the reasons that I was seriously defeated, because the people of my country believe in the poorer and sandy business. When I decided to go back in 2014, the same story came up. And I insisted on Sandabi that they needed to say something because the government of Liberia did not want to speak to the concession. And I received a communication under the signature of Councillor Minister Musa Din
defining clearly how concession agreement of the Republic is approved, exonerating me of selling the land of Babu. And I think it's contributed to my winning the 2014 election. But with this one, Mr. Minister, you are making me scared. And I just want clarity from the Solicitor General and both of you. When we have election, the Constitution requires that the result be announced in 15 days. In 15 days from December 8th, the Election Commission announced the result of the central elections across the country. There were winners named, announced. Now the Solicitor General says you cannot be referred to as senator-elect until you are certificated, then you carry the title senator-elect. I just want to be educated. After the official announcement of the Election Commission of winners, how do you refer to them?
Contestation.
One. Number two, my concern in the Solicitor General's letter, he referenced the ruling of the Supreme Court. I saw him reading the law from his phone. Perhaps he has that ruling of the Supreme Court also in his phone. I want him to clearly read to this plenary the judgment of the Supreme Court. What is that judgment? So that the senators of this Senate can understand what the Supreme Court said is the judgment against Brandon Samukai and his colleagues. If one of those is to stop him from taking his seat as senator of this republic. I don't want to understand that. Thank you, Madam President. Well, there are other issues, Cyrus. There are other issues.
Yeah. We'll take one more comment, 1 minute comment from Senator TJ, and then I will hear from Senator Lawrence. We have to close the thing.
Senator,
we said
Thank you, President. Thank you so much. Distinguished ladies. President, thank you. Briefly, and I want to do this in 60 seconds. Minister Musa Dean and I were in Washington, D.C. together. Very smart lawyer. He's a Columbia product.
Okay.
And he's one of the presidents, correctly, like Senator Wisa said and others have mentioned, that when it comes to justice in this country and being fearless, he's one of the persons that we always look forward to. There is a reason up to this very hour why in America no politician can be filed suit against, or can the justice minister file suit against during election. In America, during election period, they do not go suing politicians, no matter what the magnitude can be on every from money or other thing. And the reason for that is not to politicize elections. Right now, arguably or inarguably, our election commission is turning to a football. Everybody who has influence is now going to kick the election commission around. As we speak, the National Poll Authority is saying that they will credit the election commission $40,000 to do recounting of G4 votes. You see where we are going? The National Poll Authority is putting up $40,000 as a credit to the National Election Commission to go and recount just to find where to deny G4. You see where we are going? You see what we are doing? And presiding, Councilor Seaford, let me admit on the record, he's my lawyer. He represented me in my divorce. And we are personal friends. But on the issue of making a choice between friendship and this country, we have to take a side. And if this body doesn't put a foot down, this election commission will put us in the trouble in this country. Now they're going to get money from NPA. And NPA is a supporter of one of the candidates that they want to win. And watch my word, they will force that candidate in the throat of the Riverside people. Randy Samukai, without any argument, has been elected by the people of Lofa. Every day they wait when their senator will be seated. And now here we are in this kind of crisis. But, Councilor Seaford, thank you. You are a good friend of most of us. One Senator Moise said, thank you. Regimes come and go. You will still be here. You will still be here. These very people, you will be forced to deal with them tomorrow. Don't block your own way. Whether President Weir likes it or not, whether I like it or not, whoever likes it or not, his administration will one day come to an end. And you don't want to be a pariah in your own country. Nobody wants to be that. Musa Bin was an outstanding lawyer and is still an outstanding lawyer. When they came to the mayor, who was at the civil service, no. King is God. But I know Musa, I'm going to go to that level. Me, I'll be striking and yeah. So, President, I just want to thank you for giving me this for 30 seconds. Now, finally, in 1984, there was a case in which a legislation was forcibly introduced on the American Senate floor involving Samson Mensuri. The Samson Mensuri bill. You double check it, go and check it out. And the purpose of that Samson Mensuri bill was to make sure that elections will remain unpolitical. Presiding, I'm sorry. Maybe you might want to look at it. Well, thank you, President. I want to pass the microphone to Wow. Demon Smith, run on MPF.
Wow, what a new Senate.
Yes.
What a new Senate. The Senate is excitedly charged. Constructive. Madam Presiding, distinguished colleagues, let me first say thank you to all of my colleagues for these excellent points. I think they have raised some issues and made a lot of points to caution the Ministry of Justice. From the explanation of the Solicitor General back on all of the laws that he knows, it is still confirmed that he had no such authority to write a letter to the National Elections Commission. It has also been confirmed that the letter written was not as per the directive of the Minister of Justice. On that note, in the spirit of coordination, I would like to move, if I can obtain a second, that the Minister of Justice write a communication to the National Elections Commission, withdrawing that communication, and a copy be sent to the Liberian Senate tomorrow.
Can I hold that motion for a second and ask the Minister of Justice if he would want to say anything, or we just proceed? Can we just give him 1 minute to say what I think is only fair and then vote? Mr. Minister?
Thank you, Madam President.
As the boss over the Solicitor General, will take your last comment, sir.
Honorable members of the Senate, I note that I come from the legal community and I have come to the political community. And some of the sentiments I've heard, I wouldn't be truthful if I told you I'm not disheartened. But again, I'm not broken. I'm not discouraged. Probably there is not clarity with respect to what we said when we appeared here, and which has been buttressed by the Solicitor General. When we appeared here, we told you we had not had the opportunity to review the matter. And if you wanted explanations on that day, he was the best evidence.
Minister, you won't go that way?
No, yes, please. I want to. This is the vindication of the truth and of my character. I said that clearly. And when I came today, he told you when he wrote, he didn't tell me. And when I came to town, I read the letter, I studied the matter, and I told you on which provision he acted. And I even told you the misconception may have come from what people thought was an instruction to the Elections Commission. Probably he went into the intent that the law places on the Attorney General to inform the Elections Commission about people who are convicted of infamous crimes. And that is because they are disenfranchised. For me, like the goddess of justice, I'm glad. And I'm glad that I usually take heat from all sides in this town. From the opposition, from the ruling party, from everybody. But I will continue to be stable, static, constant, and upright. The law is the law. If you say it's a matter of first impression, it has not been interpreted, the court will do it. And clearly, when you are convicted, I don't want anybody to be divested of his franchise. No, Ronnie is my friend. Once you are convicted, you read the law, it tells you clearly you are under a disability. Section 50.12, disqualification and forfeiture of public office. A person convicted of any...
Madam President, if we will go to citing laws to justify the communication from the Solicitor General to the Election Commission, it raises a question on my mind. The Solicitor General, the Minister of Justice were in those positions where Abu Kamara won the election in District 15.
Why you put that on the book?
That honorable man has similar case. Convicted and he admitted that he will pay back the money. What was that law? What was that law? So I mean, if you want to apply law against somebody, do also to the others. Not because Abu Kamara is a member of the ruling party.
So he is not blind.
So I don't know whether that blindfolded were lifted on this one.
Thank you. So what is the order?
Oh, the order is what? The order is that we go back to the motion. The order is that we go back to the motion.
The order sustained. Mr. Minister, please have your seat. Mr. Minister, will you please have your seat? And the order sustained. There's a motion on the floor. Was that motion seconded? That under the authority of the Liberian Senate, providing oversight over all three branches of government, that the Ministry of Justice has no such authority under the law to instruct the National Election Commission to do any act that is under their ambit. It is therefore the ambit of the Supreme Court and the courts of record to do that. The Justice Minister has no such function. Are you not ready to vote? Ready. Already. Express your readiness to vote. All those who are ready, please make it known. I'm raising up your hand.
Watch out! Watch out! So, you're not voting with us?
You will take out a vote.
How many? No abstention. I didn't see any hand.
Madam Presiding Officer, the President of the Senate, distinguished senators, there are 11 senators in favor of the vote, none against and none abstain.
Motion carried. The Ministry of Justice will withdraw said letter from the Election Commission as per the decision of the Liberian Senate. Mr. Sergeant, will you please discharge the witnesses? Immediately. Immediately, and a copy served to the Secretary of the Senate.
That's it.
The Liberians.
Thank you.